landing page.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
there it would be as, you know, what is currently working. Okay, I'll checking the content to figure out if we will.
List our video and 1 viewer. It could be me. So, and you know, my video is quite good, so no lags for now. Hope it to be that way. Yeah, everything seems way better than in Russian translation, so
Okay,
I'm
that's great.
quite happy about
That's
that.
cool. Yeah, so I'll just make some adjustments on our YouTube page, like adding a thumbnail. So it would be like this, I believe.
Thumbnail, you mean
Thumbnail? Yeah, it's just a cover image.
Yeah,
it's called thumbnail in YouTube.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
sometimes they call it cover one. So let's go to the Twitch channel of ours. So guys, if you are watching us right now, thank you for joining us this evening. Or maybe it's other time of yours. Okay, so let's go to the Twitch channel to see how things are going there. Okay, content, video playing. Yes, that's great. That's what we need right now. Shareable link and go there. Yeah. Things seem to be working right now. And then go into the Twitch video.
This time it was way easier to launch these translations. No problems for now. Everything's smooth and clean, so that's great news for us.
Nice. So okay, so so let's wait for a couple of minutes. I believe it just takes some time for our viewers to join.
Somebody please join. Found this tower? Yeah, found it. Watch with 2 viewers. Yeah, sure.
Okay, something.
1 viewer here, 2 viewers on YouTube.
Oh, sorry guys.
And we had exactly 2 posts on Twitter about upcoming translation. Am I right?
Sorry?
We had 2 posts about the upcoming translation. Yeah.
Yeah. So we had the announcement of stream in all our networks, which work with in English. Yeah. So it was on Twitter. It was on Instagram.
I just looked through the date, and it was a GMT without any +3, +4, or something like that.
Yeah, because how we can put any differentiations in time if we just don't know at what zone would be a person watching us. So it's the way.
Usually you just GMT +0.
Because you just say about at what time zone this or that city is located. That's where you say that there is some exact.
Well, yeah, actually you have a system on Facebook that lets it depends on where your viewer is. So if he's on Europe or North America, he will see the posts with text according to his location. So he will see the time of the translation.
Well, sounds cool. We, I believe, should check this opportunity.
This is called targeting. Targeting.
Yeah, but currently we never dealt with that. I just checked that it was an announcement on Instagram and it was an announcement on Twitter. So things must be working nice and smooth for us. Okay. So it's actually our first experience of streaming in Twitch. I hope it would be all okay and nice.
As long as we don't say some words, some strange words, everything will be okay.
Okay.
I'm sure about that.
Okay, well, every platform has its own policy regarding how this and that thing should be working out, and it's just up to them to set up rules. and we just need to follow these rules, just
Of
due
course,
to
it's
due
their
to the
platform.
respect for people
Yeah.
who made this service so easy and cool for us to use.
Mhm.
Okay, so Raul, how you should think about our beginning? Because yes, currently we have
Three viewers on Twitter and two viewers on YouTube.
okay. So I think we could wait a couple more minutes.
Yeah,
just
2 or
warming
3
up.
minutes or so. Yeah.
And then we will be starting. So guys, if you're just watching us
Actually,
right now,
we can add a link to English translation on VK.
VK.
So if anyone is interested, remember that we asked some people who are interested in English translation
well, you can
to
make,
join it. But
yeah, you can make maybe a short post about that. So just saying
I
that
can use the original picture of QA and add some text about English translation.
well, yeah, something like that. Because some people maybe have
it will be strange that we invited them to translation, but there's no link, any information about that.
That makes sense.
Photograph.
The only thing which we talk people in advance that we're gonna have the stream totally in English because it's for English speaking part of our community. Hi Alexander, nice to meet you here.
Hello.
And also we can maybe drop a note to Discord.
And actually it's strange that we didn't do that earlier, and we could have done that actually to bring some audience. They
no, we have all the announcements done today.
We had
3 hours ahead.
Yeah, but so Twitch and YouTube and the links.
The links are just simple. You take our YouTube channel link and our Twitch link from our common description which we have. Or I can drop you once.
I'll do it. Thanks. YouTube. Ow. Yeah. Now, games. Okay. Publish. Something like that. And Discord. Yeah?
Yeah,
This
English
tower.
Discord.
I guess it will be general chat.
Yeah.
So, general. Tech.
Alex gives you the advice to add in Discord a special tag.
Here. Yeah, actually, yeah. That's a good idea. Here. Join us. On QA stream on YouTube and Twitch. Okay. Using here, you're going to mention 100 and blah blah blah. Send. Okay. Done.
Cool.
And 2 links with 2 big squares.
Well, we actually can make a post in Twitter and Instagram too right now. I think it would be an issue.
Yeah.
So I can make a
Start
post.
with.
So you can make a post in Twitter, and I can go and do it in Instagram.
Okay, sure. That's a deal. You do it. There are two links. No, that's not it. Let's try it again. And Twitch. Yeah. Okay, done. That should be it. And one moment. Five people on YouTube and 11 people on Twitch. That's amazing. That's actually pretty cool.
As I remember, you can't put links in Instagram message, right? In Instagram post.
I'm not used to Instagram, so maybe I just don't remember. I don't tend to work with Instagram a lot.
Okay.
Each social network has its unique rules, so there could be.
Okay, I'll just make it just with checking the.
Sure.
Okay.
Hey, hello, yo.
Okay, so I made.
Yes, Insta don't let you use links in posts. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So one of the subscribers
guys,
told us the same thing. Yeah.
So nice to
Thank
meet you
you.
on Twitch. You know, Raul, do you remember the other day we were talking that it sounds really cool that people still connect to our Twitch, although we just it's our second video on Twitch, which we're doing right now in a while. I mean,
I don't know where they're coming from actually.
Yeah, so guys,
But,
please tell us how did you
into-
manage to find links to Beast Hour and why you decided to subscribe to us on Twitch. It would be really cool because, you know, we from time to time we get some notifications that people are joining the Twitch, and we for a long time we didn't work with this platform because, you know, just it's really recently we started making QA streams on a general basis every month. So it's cool that you are joining us. So Raul, do you think if we can already get started?
Yeah, I think it's the exact time to start our translation with questions and some interesting topics about gameplay of Beast Tower, about the tempo of the game, and some other stuff. So let's get started, I guess.
So let me start from a brief introduction. I'm Anton Morozov. I'm creative director of BH Studio and of Beast Hour project. And today we are talking with my colleague Raul.
Hello, my name is Raul and I'm community manager of Beast Hour. You might be talking with me on social network like Twitter or Discord. I usually hang out there and answer some questions of our future players. So join these communities and have fun.
Yeah, even if you post your comments on Instagram, Raul is likely to be the person to be answering all your questions also there. So guys, Okay, so today we were gonna talk a bit about the game generally, the rules, the characters, and what's going on there gameplay-wise. But please bear in mind that we're here for you and for you only. It's your platform to talk to us, so feel free to ask questions, because as soon as we get any questions in our chats, we'll be quickly switching to answering them. Because, as I've said, we want to talk to you and not just make you listen to us. Okay, so feel free to ask any questions regarding the game, so we can just give you the information you're looking for.
Yeah, so this is an interactive translation. So if you want to have some to share your opinion with us, be our guest. Yeah. So the first question I wanted to ask Anton is about the general idea of gameplay. So what is the basis, what is the core gameplay of Beast Hour?
Okay guys, I can be talking about the game for all day long, because we've been in development for 4 years already, and that's why we had lots of things tested and tasted, and we just have a lot of tiny mechanics and rules which help to make the whole mechanism of the gameplay work, although these small gears cannot even be visible for a common viewer. But to keep things simple, let's just say that in the game you should choose between two types of gameplay. Either you explore the haunted city as a raider, or you hunt as a beast. That's why it's your crucial decision what type of a gameplay you're choosing right between the match starts. So as raider, you should explore the map using parkour moves and find special sources of arcana, which actually works as experience, which helps you to level up and unlock new abilities. And by the very end of the game, you must either escape the haunted city, fulfilling a special quest, or you should try your best to survive and remain the one standing. Beast-wise, you need to track raiders using special mechanics. You need to fight other beasts for the prey and for the territories in order to get special bonuses which make you easier hunt raiders. And by the very end, you should remain the only alpha on the map, getting rid of all your opponents. So is general idea of the game. Actually, it's pretty inspired by Dead by Daylight, where you decide whenever you want to be a survivor or a killer. So, but in our case, the main difference is that we don't have any team play, so everyone is fighting for his or her own. We can fight among players and even kill each other, so it's even possible for a raider to kill a beast, although it's not a piece of cake and it takes quite skill and sometimes even luck to do it. And of course, we shouldn't forget about the general idea of verticality and parkour which you have in the map. So it's really action-based game where you need to run around and doing things quickly and taking quick decisions. So it would be some general explanation. And I think that we already have one question on Twitch.
Yeah, we have one question, yeah. I think the most popular question, but still want to ask about it, is there any plan about alpha on 2022?
Yeah, it's the most favorite questions.
Exactly.
I'm just answering all the time. So guys, let's set up the rules, and so you get the idea how we do communicate with you. We do our best to make things as clear as possible and to tell you only things we're confident with. That's why we are very careful about giving any dates, but we really plan to launch closed alpha this year and are working hard on doing it as quick as possible. We need to do 3 main things to be able to launch the testing. First of all, it's networking. We are working hard on our servers and just on our netcode to be sure that everything works fine and smooth for you, and it would be not a problem to connect to the game by pressing only one button. Secondly, we are working on the game's UI, so it makes more understandable and more clear what's happening in the game, what commands you give and what's going on in the match. And thirdly, we do polishing of some bugs and improvements of game mechanics which we are not really fine with right now. So as soon as we fulfill all these 3 main goals, we'll be launching the alpha testing on Steam. So please don't forget to sign up for our mailing
we
list.
have a mailing system, MailChimp.
For MailChimp, for mailing list, so you get updates regularly, and also when you subscribe to us on Newsmail, you get automatically signed up for alpha testing. So please follow the links and follow us and be our. Also, we sometimes send some cool news and lore in our mails, which we then would be posting really not so quick in social media. That's the way we encourage people and thank them for giving us their emails, so we can send them our posts and keep in touch this way.
Okay, Anton, we have that exact tricky questions we were talking about earlier before the translation. It's about that magic strange red ring. So let me from what I'm seeing at the moment, there's a light bluish ring around the area. Is this like a battle royale type of obstacle to make it more difficult to move around killing the beast, like a sort of ring? So what can you tell us about that?
Okay, that's a really tricky question, because sometimes people would point fingers at Beast Tower and say that it's some kind of a battle royale game, which I believe it's not right at all. Yes, we do have a shrinking zone mechanics, but it works a bit differently, and the general gameplay loop is not like in a battle royale game. First of all, in Beast Tower, the game is separated in 2 main parts. First part is when you are exploring the area, you're leveling up, you're competing with our players, and at that time you just can die. So if you get killed, you respawn after several seconds and can continue on playing, which is really impossible in most battle royale games, because if you don't have a team which can pick you up, you just die and need to wait for the next match. So it's the first main thing which I want to point out, so we don't consider our game to be a battle royale. Secondly, at the very final stage of the game, yes, you become mortal and you can be killed, both being a raider and both being a beast. But you also have an option to escape without even hitting anyone. So generally speaking, if you don't want to fight in Beast Tower, but you want to concentrate on parkour and running away or chasing, you can do it freely. You don't need to fight in order to win the game as a raider, because at the final stage you get the ability, you get the opportunity to fulfill a special quest in order to escape from the map. So we made lots of testing and lots of brainstorming in order to understand how to make the final stage more dynamic and make it more action-based, so increasing the action curve by the very end of the game. That's why, yes, we decided to use the shrinking zone mechanics, but we made it our own way, because it has several stages of work. First of all, we have a huge ring, which is shrinking to a certain radius, and then the zone starts moving around the area, taking some random road, which is different, so it just doesn't move the same every game. And then this ring not only moves around the location, but also starts shrinking. So you can't stop running, you can't just hide in and sit in one place. And by the very end, the zone stops in a very small area, and there you just take the final fight if there is any survivors left, or if somebody didn't manage to win the game before that. So these 2 main options, that you can revive as much as you wish, and you can win the game without even killing anyone, I think is pretty different things from a battle royale game. Although we do have a shrinking zone mechanics, which usually and in most cases is used in battle royales. But you see, this way we can call our game a MOBA, because we have a leveling up system which works directly in the game, in the match.
You can upgrade the abilities.
Yes, to upgrade the abilities. Or we can call the game a DBD, because we have players who chase and other players who run away. Honestly speaking, Beast Tower is quite a unique game because it's a unique mixture of different mechanics which you can find in most games, but we have our own angle of viewing these mechanics and our own approach how to stick them together so they work nice and smooth.
Mm-hmm. So in short terms, this mechanic, it just helps players to engage in each other in the game. So this, for example, this huge map, it helps for players to be closer to each other, to not run away on other side of the map, and
anyway,
make fights.
we wanted the game to be about exploring the huge area. So
Yeah.
each time you meet somebody, it's a kind of a challenge. It's not the thing that happens every time with you. And also you need to have huge space in order to be able to play as a chase. So you're running and you need space to run. And just when we wanted to conclude the game and make it more intense, that's why we just need to shrink the area, yes, to increase the time, so to make players face each other far more often. And generally speaking, to have a nice conclusion to the game. So I just say that it looks nice, it works cool, and gives the players the emotions we want. So I just say that yes, we do use this mechanic. So yeah, that's how things works.
Okay, thanks for information. We have another question from Vanling White. Will your game have one game mode or two?
Or few. Okay,
Few.
currently we have one game mode because we worked quite time on that and we believe it to be really cool and replayable for countless times. You see, the point is that when you introduce a new game mode, sometimes it's like introducing a new game. Let's take an example, League of Legends. They do have different maps, they do have some new game modes, but if you look closely, you can notice that each time they had to make a sort of new list of restrictions, sometimes banning one items and introducing others exactly for this map or exactly for this type of game mode, because everything is balanced, is designed for the usual 5 versus 5 map with 3 lines. That's why introducing new game modes may be a tough task for us currently. Well, that's why we would, at the current stage, concentrate on the game mode which we really have now. What we do in the future depends on how our community reacts, what kind of ideas we would be thinking about considering, and in general what would be happening in the game during some time, so we can figure out what's more likely to be a kind of a content our community really looking forward to get in the next patch. So I can't say no to this question, otherwise I can't say yes right now because it depends on too many variables.
But maybe there could be possible a mode where you can directly PvP with players. It's like fight for yourself. It's like without that system, without these phases in the game, you can just death to death, you can just battle other players without any zones or rules or something
you
like
see,
that.
the point is that it's all negotiable, of course, but you see, Beast Tower is a kind of the game which is designed to be played in a special, in some given way. That's why when you are breaking these main rules, that you have a big space to run around and you have only PvP, that's somehow removed from the game important experience like running around, like hiding, and so on and so after. And moreover, most characters balance is done basing on these game rules and patterns of behavior. Well, I think I can't say no to this question, as I've said before, but it's things that it's not really easy to implement such modes. I don't talk about technical issues. Technically, it can't be that hard, honestly speaking, but in order to make it interesting, cool, and replayable, you need to work hard on the game rules and play test tons of time to make sure that it really works, or if it's not working at all. That's the thing you should bear in mind when you decide to make new game modes.
Okay, so we have more questions from another our viewers on YouTube. Yes, we have 2 translations on YouTube and on Twitch. And question is this game is in its own original world, or it's a part of some game or book or universe, etc., etc.?
Okay, sorry, I just some connection problem. So it's the question from YouTube about the game universe, right?
Yeah, is it original world with its own lore, or is it based on some, I don't know, movies, books, or some other universe?
Okay, so the general answer to this question would be yes. It's a unique universe which we ourselves made, I mean, wrote sort of for our project. And but reference-wise, we were working on such things as science fiction, like Gilbert Welch, like Jules Verne, and other famous authors who give us cool stories about explorers, adventurers, and monsters, and some strange creature like Dracula, for example. That's why we do have quite some references from even Victorian age, and some new movies, games, which give us some images. For example, at some point we would call the game like it's Val Helsing meeting the 13th district. That's why I could say that it's a big mixture of different stories, of different characters and universes which you are already familiar with, but it's only visually or maybe a bit story-wise, but generally it's a new universe with its own characters, with its own stories, and with its own rules.
So what type of content do you think would be best for Beast Hour to share the lore with other players? How to share this big chunks of lore?
You see, we have an approach which I may call the Dark Souls style of storytelling, when you just don't tell things directly, but you give different hints and notes which can be...
You have description of items or some sort, yes?
Something like that, yeah. You may find some writing on a wall, or maybe some find of, you know, some glove, or maybe some item which is lying on some table, which can give you some clue to what happened here. Also, when you are playing the game, we believe that we'll be giving these pieces of lore for some achievements. So it's a kind of a huge puzzle with many parts which you're collecting and trying to fitting them in one another in order to get the whole picture and just understand what's going on. Also, we encourage our fans to have talks about what's happening in the game world, and because it's really cool to see how people understand this or that things.
Yeah, we have a lot of interesting commentaries on social network about possible lore of Beast Hour, maybe some concepts or some draws or even, I don't know, memes. A lot of content about Beast Hour and concepts about the lore. So it's always interesting to see what our fan base is preparing for us. So yeah, this is quite good.
Yeah. So yeah.
Let's go to other questions if they are. Or maybe we just stick to our usual plan about gameplay. So we wanted to talk today about gameplay of Beast Hour. We discussed the modes, discussed the faces, and let's talk about heroes, I guess.
Okay, but Raul, sorry for interrupting you, but it seems that there are 2 more questions on YouTube.
Okay, no problem.
So it's about leveling up globally.
Yeah,
and another question is about communication with other players.
Communication, yeah, sure. So yeah, will be there any communication with other raiders and beasts, and is it possible to team with other raider or beast during a live match?
If we consider current game mode, we don't consider such an opportunity, so there is no kind of specially designed and implemented gameplay tool which allows you to offer friendship or to ask somebody to be your ally. For example, there was a game, The Cycle, if I'm not mistaken, where there was such an opportunity of offering help So you just get together, you have no friendly fire, and get some other bonuses of working with one another. So in Beast Tower you don't have such an opportunity, but it doesn't mean that the game prohibits you to help somebody at some point of the game and then betray this person or keep together to the very end until you just need to find out who is better. It's up to you. Sometimes we even joke that Beast Tower is a game to lose your friends because you never know who is being after you this or that moment. Because when it comes to fighting a beast, raiders can team up, or they should just be running away on solo mode, or just some raider may be on purpose hitting other in order to make it an easier prey for the beast in order to increase his own chances to escape. So it's really cool mixture of decision making and behavior patterns, which makes the game really interesting. That's why no allies feature we believe to be really important for Beast Tower. So that's why currently we don't consider any opportunity of team play and teaming up. And if we talk about communication, well, honestly speaking, we didn't think it to be really important because you are not allies and you don't need to coordinate your moves and your behavior. So currently it wouldn't be, I think, necessary.
Okay, we have a few more questions on Twitter from user Sampitera. He's one of the most active users
for your
on
questions.
Twitch. Yeah, thank you. The question is, what about ranked and custom lobbies? Is it planned? Do you have any modes where you can compete with other players and have some SR points so you can have gold rank, diamond rank, like something in Overwatch? So will there be a competitive aspect of the game?
Well, as almost in any competitive PvP game, there are two types of games you actually can participate. The ones which give you rank and others that don't. I believe at some point we might decide that it's an important feature to get introduced into the game. When we're gonna do it, I currently can't say for sure, but taking into account the experience of other PvP games, usually at the release they don't have any rank system because they don't have enough data to figure out how it should be working in a nice way. So I think that we'll launch the game or see for some time how things are working out, what community demands, what kind of data we have according to how people are playing the game. And then if there would be just enough purpose to do it, we will introduce ranking games. But just it's the question to how everything would be working out. That's the idea.
And as follow-up questions, we have another one about balancing PvE and PvP content. If it could be arranged in our game, will there be separate balancing of these two aspects of the game, or is there none?
Okay, so honestly speaking, it's hard for me to understand what kind of PvE balancing is meant, because we don't have any, I believe, PvP content in the game right now, because the only active actors on the map are players, so we have no NPC or any other entities which are controlled by the AI, which can attack players or somehow interfere with them. Well, maybe we can consider as PvP some kind of data which shows how long a player is running on walls, how many times he uses this and that opportunities in the game, and then decide what should be changed in this way. Well, I'm sorry if I misunderstood the question. Please just write in few words more what you were meaning when you say PvE. Well, but if we say about PvP, well, you see, PvP is a kind of a thing that you're always working on, because it's nearly impossible to get a perfect balance, which
especially in asymmetric video games.
In asymmetric video games with different characters, because in this situation this character has an upper hand, in the other situation another character has some drawbacks or some bonuses. That's why it's a kind of a thing, you're just watching the data, you're listening to the community and deciding what would be a nice way to change in this next patch which you're about to do. So we had done lots of things like that, just lowering some stats and increasing some stats, changing some abilities to make everything works nice and seem fair on a long-term play. Well, that's how things works.
So we asked all questions, yeah, on Twitch and on YouTube. Yeah, answered.
Yeah, but I think that we missed one question from the YouTube about if there would be some global progression, global leveling up, apart from...
Yeah, I asked that question, yeah.
Oh yeah, but maybe I just didn't answer it. Okay, sorry for that. Okay, now one of our core mechanics and one of the interesting gameplay features is that you do level up directly in the game. So it's a kind of, thing which helps you to have a progression which you really feel every time you play. So okay, of course that people play in multiplayer games nowadays and they need meta progression which just you gather from playing one game, another game, and so on and so after, and it just gives them a kind of bonuses and some other profitable things which makes them play once again. Some kind of rewards, it's better to say. So yes, of course we'll need to do something of such a kind, and we would already talk about it in team and make some brainstorms about that and have some documents about what we might do. But you see, as I've said many times before, we are focused on the gameplay and actually how the game works technically. So people feel that it's an interesting game and it works nice. That's the main goals for us right now. But of course, very soon we will be really thinking hard about what kind of meta progression we're gonna offer for the players, because whenever we want it or not, it's a very important part of any multiplayer experience nowadays.
And what's the difference between a usual progression and a meta progression? I'm just
okay.
Not
well, I just maybe use some not really clear terms, but I say that we have a progression right inside the game, or inside the match. So you just leveling up your character and unlock abilities. Each time you start a new match, you have to level up your character from the early beginning. So it's somehow a MOBA style of leveling up, when you have just every game starting from a 0 level and moving to a higher level, just in order to acquire some abilities and so on and so after.
Yeah, like a session game. I get it, yeah.
And you also have the progression which is connected with your profile as a player. Yeah. So after you play a game, you get some kind of rewards, some points, some experience, call it whenever you want, which helps you to get access to some things, items, maybe some new content, or maybe some new opportunities, which somehow reward you for investing your time as a player into the project.
Okay, so we have another questions on YouTube. And will the maps in Beast Hour be partially randomized? And how many maps should we expect in Beast Hour or in multiplayer mode?
Okay. So guys, when I am giving you answers to the questions which seem to be typical for most multiplayer projects, how many maps, how many characters, how many skins, well, in our case, it's a bit different story, because we have a unique game, which is a unique mixture of things which you might have seen in other games, but still it's working a bit differently. So currently we're saying that we will stick to one map only, because it's really huge, as you can see currently on the stream, which is behind us. It's so big that you need very much time to get used to it, to understand all the roads. And we have the roof level, the ground level, the underground level, with different tunnels which help you to get quicker to each part of the haunted city, but still giving you more risk as you are in a narrow space where you have little chance to fight with a melee-based werewolf monster. So we think that the best decision would be to make the map better, more interesting, adding new shortcuts, new rules, some maybe movement mechanics, and some interesting quests there, rather than trying to make as much maps as possible. Because making many maps creates a problem that it splits the audience. So either you just give people a chance to choose the map which they want to play on, but in this case you split the audience for those who want to play on map A and those who want to play on map B. But if you just make people no choice, people get frustrated because some people may like map A and don't like map B. So in the future we might do something like in this direction, but on the very beginning we'll be sticking to only one map to make it, look cool, interesting, and bringing something new whenever it comes to updates.
Yeah, definitely. So, other questions. The trickiest one, what about daily and weekly tasks that players usually complete to earn some rewards, maybe some currency in game, to buy some things, stuff like that?
Okay. So what you're saying are just typical and already proven mechanics which are used for different multiplayer systems and presented in many projects. That's why I believe that we won't be getting trying to 100% invent everything from scratch. I think that we would just take things which are already proven by time, but which really fit to our game. That's why we maybe sometime even change things, which making them a bit unusual, because we have an unusual game. So I can't just give you the list of some kind of daily quests or weekly missions or maybe some character-based challenges, because we haven't worked through it and thought through it right before. But I just say that we are open-minded and we do analyze tons of games which to some extent similar to ours. That's why we of course want to rely on the experience of things that are really working, because we want to just get people impressed and thrilled with our general gameplay and characters. So it would be the main thing for people to return back. But of course we know that in current world it's not enough, so we would be working on the progression and other things which people already used to in PvP games.
So questions, another questions on YouTube. How many players will there be at the start of the match, and will there the amount of players on each side be equal?
Okay, so this is kind of a feature which we are really proud of, that we are an asymmetric PvP game, and we have different number of players who are not in one team, meaning that it's free for all. They don't fight for one another, and the beast can kill a beast and raider can kill a raider. It's just up to a player decide what to do. But generally speaking, there are 8 players in one match, 3 beasts and 5 raiders. This is the numbers which we came to while calculating the map size and making lots of playtesting and just figuring out what works better. So yeah, just generally speaking, it's 8 players, no allies, 5 raiders, 3 beasts.
And what there would be if there were equal amount of beasts and raiders? Will there be just like a mass, some crazy stuff going on, or what was the decision behind that?
Okay, the decision behind that was pretty simple, that if you want to make some strong creatures, there should be less strong creatures than weaker ones. And well, of course, raiders has some bonuses, like they are a bit quicker on short distances. They have special abilities and special devices which allow them to fight back and escape. While beasts are just simply stronger. They have more HP, they deal more damage, and also they have all the abilities available from the early beginning. So we just wanted to make the game as contrast as possible, and also we have some special quests which are balanced, taking account the number of players on the map. We also wanted to have such a thing that you can never know whenever a beast would attack you or would not. That's why we have a different number of beasts and raiders. So as you can see, 3 beasts can chase 5 raiders at the same time. So 2 raiders would be somehow feeling a bit safe, if we can say so. But as you have this very unstable feeling that nobody is chasing you, and the situation can change just 100 degrees every moment, that makes the tense and makes the game feel really dynamic, and to keep people aware of that they need to look for monsters and look for enemies who can be after them.
So these 2 remaining raiders, they have some time to collect arcana, to level up, to do something, while the other 3 raiders and 3 beasts, they have some confrontation between each other. Yeah.
Well, roughly
Something like
saying, it's like that, but it's real people playing, and sometimes it happens that 2 beasts can be going after 1 raider, and other things can happen.
Yeah, but the matchup could be different.
Yeah, it can be a 100% random situation, which you just can't imagine. And that's the thing which really makes the game interesting, because each time you play, you have new story, you have new emotions and new experience. That's the thing I believe people always come to play multiplayer games for. Well, let's just not consider computer games. Let's consider some sport games like basketball or football. Well, the rules are the same, the map is the same, the number of players is the same. On the first glance, nothing changes, but still it's really cool watching, because these rules give players a whole tool set of decisions and tricks they can use in order to make every game unique. That's the idea which we just used as a foundation for Beast Tower, that each game should feel differently and bring you new experience and new emotions.
Okay, thank you for answering the question, Anton. We have another one on YouTube from Ostrich. Is it forbidden to cooperate with other raiders, for example, with a friend? Can you cooperate?
Okay, currently we don't have any, squad mode or any way you can, due to the game rules, play together with your friends. Of course, it can happen that you can together get into one match and you can communicate with one another and help one another. It's up to you. But at some point, you will have to compete with one another, because it's the way the game works, and you just can't neglect this fact. So, if you talk about playing with non-friends, so with random players you do not know, it's up to you what you would do when you see a beast chasing a raider. Would you hit a beast in order to help a raider? Or would you hit a raider to make him or her an easier prey? Or you would decide just not to interfere. So we technically don't prohibit any type of this behavior. So it's just you to decide.
And what about the situation if, for example, you and your friend, you decided to join one server, and then you, as 2 raiders, you don't attack each other, but you help each other. So is it some sort of prohibited in the game? So
generally speaking,
what if you do that?
We don't support, as I've said, any squads or any just going together in one match. So you can get into one match together only randomly.
Yeah, but what if that happens? Would that be cheating in the game?
Well, according to our current game rules, it's not cheating, because on the one hand, it's not a thing that we prohibit. It's just that we don't have any easy opportunity to connect to the game to people who wanted to play like that together. Yeah, and secondly, yes, of course, it will give them some bonuses for playing together and helping one another. But on the other hand, when players notice usually that some 2 raiders or 2 beasts are just sticking together, Somehow, it's just maybe the way the human personality works. Other players just understand that they're too dangerous, and then somehow occasionally, without any type of talk or just chatting with one another, they cooperate in order to just get rid of these two problems, and then start quarreling between one another again. I know that it sounds really strange, but it's how things work.
But on the other hand, there are a lot of objects with Arcana that only one player can interact with. For example, you can grab those shiny Arcana anomalies, some spheres, and you can't share them with other players. So
yes, that's a very good point, Raul. Just thank you for noticing this thing and reminding me about that. Yeah, you can't play when you're playing together. It's really hard to keep on the same speed of leveling up, because you can pick up this sphere like on the screen right now, and you can't do it. Also, if you capture some rift, only one player who captured the rift is getting experience. That means that in order to level up on the same speed, you need to split up, just before, and at least to stay away from one another before the final stage of the game begins. So at this point, you should decide who is going to be more level up and who has to be low level, and that means that a person who level up, of course, he would be having an upper hand, but his mate won't be able to help him drastically, because being low level and having little abilities or low stats, he or she would be an easy target for other players.
So this strat is 50-50 or something.
Well, you see, I think that there are both positive sides of such cooperation and both negative sides of such cooperation. But generally speaking, just to make things simple, we don't give an option right now to invite your friend just to get into the game together. We have a very small amount of players in one match, only 8, as I said before. That's why it's not a kind of a feature we, at current point of the development, taking account the current game mode, consider to be really crucial to make people interested in Beast Tower.
Okay, thanks for answering the question. We have another interesting on YouTube about beasts and interaction with Arcana. So how beasts can, why they need to go to the Arcana in the first place? Why just not hunting other raiders and that's it? So there is some mechanic we showed earlier on GIFs and videos to break down some Arcana crystals, to have to sabotage some objects on the map. How does that thing, why do you need to do that?
Okay, so as we have two separate types of gameplay in the game, and we have two different types of characters, but we do have an exact amount of objects which you can use for interaction in the game. So we did our best to make Raider and Beast interact with the same gameplay object differently. So when Raiders use Arcana objects, they level up and get experience, and when Beasts break them, they also get experience, but just very, very little, just to make it profitable and also in the way of leveling up. So if you just keep on running around the map and only crushing the crystals, you will be far behind from those beasts who also fight a lot, because each time Beast hits a target, it already gets experience. So that's why, as I've said, for Raiders, Arcana is a way of leveling up and their main goal. Beasts use Arcana to increase their efficiency. First of all, when they sabotage Arcana, they charge their holding ability, which allows them to wallhack Raiders and see where they are located for a short period of time. That's why it's a kind of the thing that they use in order to somehow become a better hunters, better predators. Secondly, Arcana helps beasts to regenerate health. While Raiders, when they interact with Arcana, they get not only experience but also some amount of healing. Beasts have a mechanic that if they don't get hurt for some time, they start the regeneration process. Yes, and in order to increase decrease the time when this regeneration starts, they should sabotage Arcana. It's the second thing. And the third thing, Arcana gives beasts special bonus, which lets them to land their next hit harder, meaning dealing more damage. So if some beast is far behind from others, he or she can spend some time sabotaging Arcana in order to gather more of this hard-hitting power. So in the next fight, his or her first several hits will deal more damage. So at some point, it's a kind, of a mechanic which grants you a short period of level up, which would end after you spend these hits on your enemies.
Okay. So do we have any other questions from GG Kronos? Actually, this viewer is one of the most active on Twitch, so
yeah.
I want to show him my gratitude.
Yeah. He is always supporting us and writing all the comments, saying thank you very much for supporting us. It would be nice and cool. We are really looking forward to seeing you on our alpha test and would be glad to learn your feedback about the game.
So his message is private servers would also be amazing. Yeah.
Okay, guys. Everything that's connecting with servers and networking is a kind of a pain for every developer. Let me to be straightforward with my words. Yeah. That's why also we need to think about how the progression would work with private servers. For example, if we take DBD, they don't grant any rewards or experience for your profile when you play private games. That's a kind of one example that you should be thinking of before introducing such a feature. That's why, like many other things which you've been asking during this evening, well, we'll see how things work out, because now we want to make maybe less features, but make them as good as possible. That's the idea. So we would rather maybe work more on game mechanics, on characters and general gameplay rules, instead of just spending time on private servers right now. But what would be next? It depends on how closed alpha works out and what people feedback would be look like and what you as community would demand from us.
So yeah, we have that questions that we answered earlier about peer-to-peer system when in terms of connection. So yeah, Anton, you answered that.
I think that I answered that in the previous stream.
Let's talk about it.
Okay, I'll just say a few words, guys.
In short.
Most PvP games, they start their launch with peer-to-peer because it's easier and honestly speaking far cheaper than having a dedicated services. So of course now, as we developers play the game, it's peer-to-peer when some player becomes a host and others connect to him or her. So now we are working on making Amazon server for everyone. So there would be a remote server, a remote computer, all people would be connecting to. So this machine would make rooms, will collect matches and launch them. Well, it's a hard task to do, and we've spent already maybe over 2 months working with that feature. Well, but we hope that we'll be able to do it soon. So during the closed alpha, you will be playing through this system, which we believe to be working far better than just peer-to-peer.
We have a very nice commentary from GG Kronos. I'm excited to see how things grow. I'm willing to wait until the player base is fully established. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much for your support.
And another questions from Ostrich. Are you planning to make some dedicated servers so the games be local like previously in Dead by Daylight? What was previously on Dead by Daylight?
I think that I've already answered this question because well, sorry, maybe I'm not familiar with this term, but I believe that local means the very same as peer-to-peer, when you have a group of people. If I'm not mistaken, at the time of launch, DBD used a very simple system that killer would be the server anyways, because there could be only one killer in one match, and it would be far easier for them to count matches and gather matches just relying on the number of killers they have. So it was just a common idea, just okay, if we rely on killers, let them make servers. That's the idea. And I think it's pretty straightforward, and that's why pretty working decision. Yeah. So, but yes, we want to have a remote servers to run the game because we believe it would be better for players right now. I hope we would solve this problem quicker, but you see, guys, you also shouldn't forget that running servers is pretty costly, especially when you rent them. We do have some kind of solution to that problem, but we'll be checking how things work next. So just stay tuned, and just we'll be saying more about this topic as soon as we have more information. But close alpha we wanna make on Amazon services, I believe. So we are just getting closer and closer to solving this problem.
Okay, so Anton, do we have more time for discussing gameplay a bit more? Maybe.
Okay, but we already have a question.
Yeah. Just now it appeared just now. Yeah.
Guys, just as I've said at the very beginning of the stream, we'll be answering your question first, even if it would just take.
They have higher priority.
Yes, even if it would take just all the time of the stream, because in order just we need to talk about something, we can make a separate video, just write you a post and blah blah blah. We're here to talk to you as a live session. So don't be shy, write your questions. I believe we have some more time, maybe around 10-15 minutes more. So we'll be happy to answer everything you ask us.
So we have a question that I asked about that earlier on Russian stream, but that's quite interesting topic about region lock. So there's a feature that's killed many games because friends even across a single continent couldn't play together. So will there be a region system implemented in Beast Hour with these type of servers?
Okay, so guys, first things first, just I need to repeat some part of the answer I gave a bit earlier today, that currently we are not going to support as idea playing with your friends together as a team. So you may be lucky to get into one game together and try to somehow help one another or kill one another, to make fun of one another. It's up to you. But generally speaking, the whole idea of Beast Hour currently is that you don't have no allies. That's why we are not getting so crazy of making people just playing with friends only. We'll maybe do some feature like that in the future, but currently no. What we are really after is providing you with good networking experience and with a nice ping, which would let you just enjoy the game and not struggle with the frame rate. Okay? So we would be happy to make some kind of setting, which I currently can't just strictly describe. Well, maybe some example that in the settings you can choose what server you prefer to play on, the server in Europe, the server in North America, the server in Asia, to make sure that your networking is as good as possible. How we gonna solve this problem later? Currently I can't tell you, but it's the thing we already know about, and we'll be working on the solution which would be both nice for people who want to play with people in one region and people who are ready to play with players worldwide. So it's a kind of a tricky thing, and it needs lots of technical research and testing before we can just say, okay, this solution is the best one, we're taking it.
Got it. And we have a commentary from Gigi Kronos. He's trying to bait us for some secret information about raiders, about customization, beasts, or something like that. He loves customization. And so do I, actually.
Okay.
It's a good way to impress yourself as a player on the battlefield.
Okay, so character-wise, I would say, carefully, because we are not those who try to give lots of promises, because as soon as you give a promise, you should 100% keep it. So I would say that we really want to make more characters, more raiders, more beasts, and a kind of a thing we're always talking in the team about and giving some ideas, some concepts, so on and so after. So yes, it's the thing we would love to make for our gamers. Skin-wise, customization-wise, of course, every PvP game just already now has to have cosmetic items. So we already have some ideas how we're going to introduce it into the game, but just bear in mind that we are concentrated on gameplay first now, but of course we would never neglect such important part of the game as characters and their customization.
There's a commentary, yeah, don't be like BioWare or CDPR. Well, I don't know about BioWare. I haven't heard about their politics for a lot of time. I just don't remember what games they used to do. It was Anthem, Dragon Age, Andromeda.
Yes, it was famous for the two hugest franchises like Mass Effect and Dragon Age.
I prefer the old BioWare team, like Mass Effect 1, 2, 3. These games are just amazing. I love them.
Well, guys, we just currently it's hard for us to talk much about some future plans because we have tons of ideas. Yeah, we really have tons of ideas, but now we are just in some so-called feature freeze stage when we try to reduce the number of new things introduced into the game and trying our best to make other features as good as possible. So what's already in the game must be working perfectly. That's what we're aiming for.
Yeah, the formula should be polished, so everything should work exactly the way it means to be.
Because even now, when we are playtesting the game in the team, we still find some things which we're not really satisfied with and which we need just to fix. Well, but in most cases, guys, as I've said at the early beginning of the stream, we need to solve the problem of networking. And as soon as we're done with that, I think that we'll be pretty ready to launch the closed alpha, just taking account that would have some time to solve some, polishing and maybe some important roughnesses to be removed from the game, something like that.
YouTube questions. What about several teams of raiders, several groups of raiders of 2 and 3 people, or will be the game only FFA? So everyone is for himself.
Okay, so FFA is the current way the game works. We have tons of questions, and even this stream is not an exception, about introducing some kind of a team play mode. Well, I want to be really, really careful about saying something about that, but as far as I see it, maybe the squad system of raiders would be a possible solution, but still, guys, believe me, it takes tons of playtesting time in order to understand whenever or not it's a good or bad idea. Trust me, it's not simple as that, because on paper something may look cool, on paper some maybe look easier. Okay, we'll just change these numbers and maybe change a bit these parameters and everything will be working perfectly. But honestly speaking, it almost never works this way, because each time you want, because the game is just a working car which is driving at a whole speed. And when this movement, you try to change something in the engine or change wheels, it's really, really tricky thing to be done with that easily.
You change the whole image, and sometimes it might collapse. So
yeah, that's why, because when you start introducing a feature, it somehow touches other features. So it's like a domino effect when just some falls and just everything goes like this way, and there are so many things you should change. That's what when I'm answering the question about new game modes, that's why it's so tough to get new game modes, because they are actually new games. Well, of course, maybe not as whole games, but just in miniature, a new game. And you need to be 100% sure that everything works, that everything connects to one another. And if at some point you understand that in order to make this mode you have to rework the whole game, it's really tough decision to take and really tough feature to get implemented quicker.
So another questions about the engine of the game. It's Unity. It's not Unreal Engine 4, 5, some other engines.
Yes, it's Unity.
It's Unity.
We use a Unity engine.
More of a technical question. How do you guys choose what abilities or mechanics to introduce, as well as balancing, which I know is a really tough thing to achieve?
Well, the question is a tough one, and the question may sound simple. The answer may sound simple, but it's how things work, and believe me, it's not simple at all. So when we talk about ideas, we generally have some vision of how the character should look like, and then what kind of abilities and gameplay he or she should have. And after we have such kind of a visual in our head, we start, prototyping. So we take some existing character in order not to make some new model, not to just even maybe drawing some new concept art, but just taking an existing character and just on gray boxes, give him some new abilities which we do have in mind. And then we play, and we play. Yeah, we do some calculations, some math, which supposed to just give us some base idea of what speed, what damage this and that or that ability should have. But honestly speaking, you need to play test a lot in order to understand that it works as you supposed it to work. Because in asymmetric game with lots of different characters and lots of different abilities, you never can consider all the variables which would influence the total result. So general idea, it would be just prototyping and playtesting. That's the deal.
That's the formula to success, to just
I believe
make sure everything works.
Sometimes I even would say to a team that we should evaluate the length of making the game not in some general time, but in amount of play testing we should do in order to get the game work nice. So I believe that you can't make a cool PvP game without play testing just for tons of time. So nearly 1/3 of the development should be play testing, just playing at least with your team as much as possible. We do play Beast Tower 2 times a week, so we just keep updated. We understand how things work, and we just are sure that yes, it's nice, it's how it should work. Well, I can't think about other method of balancing things other than playtesting. Of course, when you have a wider audience and a huger player base, you can make some kind of pre-alpha services. Some people can join them and try some updates and some new characters before they open for the huge public. Yeah, and at that point you can get the data just to understand, okay, how many times this character gets an upper hand, how many times he or she dies, and blah 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 blah. But as soon as you get this data, you need to decide what you should change. And after you change it, you need to get new data and compare it with the old one, which actually leads us to the same thing. You need playtesting. That's all.
Commentary from GG Kronos 2 times a week? Those are rookie numbers. You gotta bump those numbers.
Okay, I believe I myself personally would love to play Beast Tower every day and just to play not only with the team but with our fans. But you see, playtesting, it takes quite time. It takes 8 people to do it. That's why it's a very huge part of working hours people are ready to spend on the game. And as we don't have a huge team and we don't have a whole, department of QA, people who can sit and play the game for all day long, and whenever one of the game designers or artists or devs want to try something and just with one click he gets 7 people playing with him or her together right now. That's why I would say that 2 times a week is pretty huge number. Most teams don't do it.
And one personal question from me: what amount of hours do you think is optimal to get good on Beast Hour, to try every mechanic to realize how they work, to master the game, what total amount of hours is optimal for that? How to play
Yeah.
this game
Well,
like
guys,
pro?
I believe that it's really dependent on what is your background. So, for example, I played a lot of different parkour games. For example, my favorite parkour game is Prince of Persia: Warrior Within. I just can't remember how many times I walked through it, getting all the secrets and opening all the endings, and just turning into at some point an unkillable machine, because you already know all the timings of the spacing and where this and that enemy is located. That's why for me parkour is kind of not really tricky thing. I can say that I'm good at parkouring in Beast Tower, but I'm not really good in shooting because I never play FPS and I just don't have very good aiming skills. That's why when it comes to shooting as a raider, I'm not really good at all. So for me, the best way to play Beast Tower is to choose the escape pattern and just to run away by the end of the match. And
Sam
that's
Petera, he rated your game, Prince of Persia: Warrior Within. He obviously liked it, so that's nice to hear.
yeah.
Uh,
And
and
that's
Persh,
why, okay, but generally speaking, if we neglect the background, I would say that just to get to know everything and to try every character, and as far as the current version is concerned, we have 3 unique characters, 2 raiders and 1 werewolf. I believe that about maybe 10 hours would be enough to understand how things work. And also, you know, PvP games are really similar to sport. So if you play 1 hour per day for 1 hour per day for 10 days, it would be a bit different than if you play 5 days by 2 hours every day, right? Because the more time you spend, I mean, just continuously, it just helps you to improve better. That's how things work.
Okay, so personal questions from GG Kronos. What is your favorite mechanic of a hero from Beast Hour? So under this mechanic, I think it's like abilities of raiders or beasts. What is your favorite mechanic from the game, Anton?
Personally, okay, there is one ability which I can't say that's...
Is it offensive ability or defensive one?
I'm just thinking what you see, there are some abilities which are cool how they work, and there are abilities which, you know...
Harder to realize,
to
implement.
Just let me say that,
Okay.
you know, there are simple abilities and there are complicated abilities, and they both are interesting, but in different way. So I think that one mechanics which I really like how it works, because it's really cool thing and people get amazed when they see it, is that when Yudoku levels up a special gas state ability which lets you to get some kind a special state where she gets less damage and can be killed, so your health can drop below a certain amount. And if you level up it once more, in this state, where usually you can't attack, by pressing and holding the shooting button, you just stand spreading a poisonous trail after you. And this is the thing which I really like, because it's so cool looking and everyone just starting running away from you at this point. That's why I would just name this ability as my favorite one.
As for me, my favorite one is Zealous, his dash forward. It just leaves some cool looking blue trail, and it's just amazing to do it over and over and over again. I especially like all the abilities that are related to fast movement. So I just like
moving in Beast Tower is crucial, because as long as you you become stay on one place, you become an easier prey. That's simple.
And some standard questions on YouTube about first project of Beast Hour Studio and about system requirements on PC.
Okay, the system requirements. Okay, So yeah, Beast Tower is our first project as a team, but we are all professional game developers. So for example, before starting development of Beast Tower, I worked in several companies on board in-house. I worked as a freelancer. That's why I have some amount of already shipped games like Prime World or Skyforge, if this name says something to you, of course, because it was developed by Russian-based studios and not really well known internationally. But it was a huge project, like a big Dota-like game or a big MMORPG with big budgets and lots of people working on them. That's why we are not people who are not familiar with game development. We know things and we have real experience of developing games which are shipped. And if we talk about the requirements of your PC, well, the game is not fully optimized right now, and it's a kind of a process which is always running even after the game is released. You're always thinking about how make things better, how make things like smoother, and so on and so after. Also, in order to prepare the game for Steam, you should be careful analyzing the Steam data about what is a typical machine a usual general average user is using. So I just can give you some specs on which we are aiming right now, because it's the specs of my computer which is considered currently as the target platform, as a target machine we are going to be launched. So it's 100% subject to change. That's why don't take it as granted, and I believe we would change the specs later and closer to closed alpha. So that's why I'll just name you what computer I'm using, because I believe it's not really a strong one. So it's, of course, first thing you're interested in is graphic card, and it's NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1050. It's Windows 10 34, sorry. As RAM, I have 16 gigabytes, and my processor is Intel Core i5.
Anton, do you think you could, did you have that desire to upgrade your PC to play new games, to work easier? So
guys, of course, I would love to do it as soon as graphic cards would be costing as planes.
Yeah, it stays.
You know, in Russia there is such a saying that something is really expensive. We call it that is costs like a wing of a plane. So that's the situation which happens right now with all the hardware. So I hope that the prices would go lower this year, then it would let me to upgrade, because of course sometimes it just gets on you when something works slowly and it just, you know, a bit irritated. But on the other hand, you always feel you feel yourself in players' shoes, because most people who play multiplayer games, they usually don't have strong machines.
That's right.
Yes, and that's why we need to take into account that at least with some low setting mode, that people with simple and not really, you know, powerful hardware can still run the game smoothly, although even for the sake of graphics. That's
even Riot Games, they made Valorant to make him to launch on every potato PC, so it's quite an option for the players.
In case of Valorant, it's strongly a cyber sport game. That's why they try to keep the visuals cool, but still as optimized as possible, and I fully support this approach. While Beast Tower is more tends to have an atmosphere of visuals, of some, you know, dark, grim, somehow even realistic looking environment. That's why, you know, it's a kind of a tricky thing for us to mix together both good looking environment and characters with good frame rate. But somehow we managed to deal with that.
So the main goal of Beast Hour is just have fun, to wander around map, or what? So what are we trying to give to our players? What feeling are we trying to give to our players?
Well, we want to make a feeling of a horror game where you need to just look carefully for your enemies, both in case of a raider when you need just you waiting for a menace from any corner, and both by the beast, where although you are a hunter, but you know that if you're hunting somebody, it doesn't mean that no one is hunting you. Yeah, because we have tons of stories when a beast is running after a raider and spends time in order to bring a raider down and just raises to finish him or her, when another beast just jumps at the werewolf and kills him and takes away his prey. So just you can't be safe in Beast Tower. You should always look over your shoulder. And of course, we wanted to implement this freedom of parkour, of feelings that you can get everywhere. So we have a simple toolbox of movements and controls which you can use in order to achieve whenever you want.
Yeah, okay, we have another question from GG Kronos about platforms. Is there any future plans to bring it on consoles, and how it will be implemented?
Okay. So we have lots of demands from the community to get the game on consoles, on Xbox and PlayStation, and we would love to do it because, I even remember the times of PS1. It was, my, most maybe exciting memories of my childhood on playing on PC1. I mean PlayStation 1, of course. The first PlayStation.
PC2, PC3.
Yeah. So that's why we would love to have Beast Tower run on consoles, because it already looks like a console game with mechanics which are suitable to playing with gamepad. We have the UI which doesn't demand for you to press something with your mouse on the screen. So yes, but it would be, I believe, our next step after the PC release. What we won't do as soon as possible, but still it's a bit tough for us because we have other technical issues to solve right now, is to connect the gamepad. Yeah. So yeah, we would love to be ready to introduce gamepad for the PC version 2, but when it's gonna happen and whenever we're gonna have it at our closed alpha testing, honestly speaking, I don't know.
So Anton, do we have any more time to talk about gameplay, parkour system, or something about leveling system maybe?
Well, you see, it seems that we're already in stream for an hour and a half, so I believe that if somebody wants to ask some more questions, it will be better to answer them. Otherwise, I think that we can just use this topic which we planned for our current talk to the next QA session. Of course, if you will be so active with asking questions next time, we will just move it on one next QA session, because as I've said many times during our talk today, we are here to talk to you and not just to tell you things. So bearing in mind this format, I think we just can look for some questions which we maybe have missed, answer them, and then be done for today.
Okay, we have commentaries from Sam Peter. Good forward thinking on the UI for sure.
Thank you very much.
Take all the time you guys need. Excited to see growth. Thanks.
So guys, then I would just need to say that we appreciate you being with us this evening. Have a great day or have a great night, depending what time of the day or night you have currently in your city. Please stay tuned, subscribe to our mailing list. If you want to support us on Patreon, please feel free to do it. We'll be really thankful for that. And stay tuned and follow our social media and wait for our alpha testing, join our QA streams, and just keep in touch. We're making the game so you would like it. So bye bye.